Can you feel it, folks? Can you feel it coming? A big week here for our CIRF report between February 8th and Valentine's Day 2024. Your personal revolution begins with an Aquarian new moon, but it's so much bigger than this. It's a bigger war. There's a battle out there between air and earth, and we're going to cover it all in the next 30 to 40 minutes. Hang with us. Let's go surfing. It's a delicate week. It's a powerful week. It's very confusing, a lot of different energies, a lot of contradictory feelings. So pay attention and stay to the end, because that's the most important part, is how to behave, how to act this week to maximize your success through the energies. Here's the energies, though. I got that little heart there for Valentine's Day, but can't wait to show you that day. That's sort of where the climax comes. All right, we have the new moon, so you can imagine putting the moon and the sun together here in Aquarius, and then all that is going to looks kind of like opposition, but it's not. It's a square over to Taurus. It's a fixed air versus fixed earth. I'm going to show you all that, and I'm going to tell you how it's going to feel. And then we've got other things going on, such as the waning crescent moon at the first few days. Then we got the new moon. Then we have the waxing crescent, right? So we have sort of a planning phase here, but energetically it's going to feel powerful. Might feel frustrated, might feel blocked, challenged. And for a lot of us, we're going to feel motivated to do something about it. So it's going to be a little counterintuitive. So we're going to have to stay mindful of the behaviors to maximize success through this week. There's an archetypical battle out there, and I want you to be aware of that. And then the new moon in Aquarius, as well as some other things, means that we have a personal revolution coming. And it's both of those. I don't consider those the same thing. In fact, if anything, your personal revolution may or may not, depending on how conscious you are and mindful, be coming out of this archetypical battle, fixed air versus fixed earth. All right, this is just the overview, so I don't know why I'm rambling on. We have the dream bot that says looking and searching and empowered. I can't wait to show you that. That one's interesting. Hulk is the number one word. And we have the I-Ching says, it just feels like we need to keep going. We need to keep pushing through, and it's endurance. And that's because of all the squares and the tension. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You ready? Here we go. Shout out for Not For Me To Say with the Best Comment Award this week. Congratulations, and thank you all for helping out with the channel, supporting us. I appreciate you. Now let's go into the Dreambot. There's a lot here. I'm going to zoom in. I have a new feature on this computer. I love it. Can zoom in. All right. Hulk, number 1. Carter, number 2. In the comments below, what do you think there? Carter? Is that Jimmy Carter? Is there some news that I missed? Why would news be in the Dreambot? Well, because of day residue. When they shove news into our heads, and then we go to dreamland, you just tend to have this day residue. So there might be this big news around Carter that I'm not aware of. But food is on everybody's mind, caffeine. I've seen some studies recently on coffee and caffeine and how that actually helps with longevity. It was a huge study, like 12,000 participants over a course of, 20 years or something. I might be off. But anyway, let's look at the big picture. Actually, one thing before I go to the big picture. Here's the linguistics. Global destruction. COPS steering equipment. Now, when I read into COPS steering equipment, I'm looking at like surveillance video. Well, surveillance video is global destruction. How about that? In a very Aquarian style, right? Surveillance state is destroying the globe, and they're blaming it on everything else. So let's look at the big picture. The big picture is the red, including Hulk, is about empowerment, mastery, just dominance, size and otherwise. Size and power is the red arrows. The blue arrows is we're looking for something, searching and looking, directions, etc., hidden mystery. All right. That's the dream bot. I find that super interesting where the collective unconscious is right now. It is commensurate with this energy. Big picture on the astrology. We're inching towards another total solar eclipse on April 8th. But in this week is this tiny little thin band saying you are here. So we're in Aquarius, new moon time, and that energy isn't by itself the dominant energy, the Aquarian energy. It is half of it. It's supportive of the overall energy is this fixed versus air. Fixed earth versus fixed air. Taurus versus Aquarius is this energy line. The new moon supports it. And then it goes to big, huge heights here because of the mega square alignments on Valentine's Day, no less. Still looking at now we're winnowing down to the month of February, and we're in between these two vertical lines. You can see all the planets that are going into Aquarius. Fellow Aquarians, we will not have a huge Aquarian focus this week. We get a tiny window this year of total air Aquarian dominance, but it's not going to be this week. It'll be next week. It'll start when Venus goes into Aquarius. I did a video on that for our first energy shift video. And so you can look that up. I'll link that next time so that you can view that in detail. We have a lot of squares now that you can see towards the end of our week. All right. Look at all these notes. Do you want to see the picture first? Here's the air versus ground. Here's the energy. And, what's sort of missing from this archetypical battle thing. Warplanes obviously throwing bombs down, but tracers coming up and shooting back. That's the ground. It's a ground versus air, earth versus air, archetypical battle. And it starts with Sun square Uranus at a climax. Goes exact. The challenge begins. And why is it air versus, we have a dominant of fixed. Right now, Earth is dominant, but Moon is about to leave Earth, and Mars is about ready to leave. Venus will leave in the next CIRF report. So you're going to starting to have, by the end of this week, a bunch of Aquarian planets. All right. So this Earth is going to get tied once Moon goes in there, and you're going to have a 4 and 4. That's going to be tomorrow or Friday. We're talking right now about Thursday, the 8th of February. Where do I begin? Overall, the energy is amped, but because of the square and the contention and the Sun square Uranus, I want to explain that in a little more detail. We have that tension going on. Meanwhile, that is motivating, and the Moon is in Capricorn with Mars, with this passion, but in a waning crescent. She's getting ready for a new moon. And so in that waning, what's our waning crescent? Normal suggestion is to, cool it off, slow down, reflect, rejuvenate. That's this period. But really hard to do because you've got passion. It's in Capricorn, so it wants to get stuff done, really passionate about it. Furthermore, you've got this, do you realize that Sun is in detriment or weakened in Aquarius? The sun, the identity, the ego is in its most weakened state around the zodiac in Aquarius, and it's squared off to the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, who is in a fall or the least amount of ease. So things get harder for Uranus in Taurus. And so it's a really interesting phenomenon where both parties are sort of offended or weakened, or things are hard and they're squared off to each other. So the energy is compacts to each other. This accentuates and starts the air versus earth. Okay. And so air versus earth. Meanwhile, while we have this picture, you can picture that while I'm reading this list. Put this over here. We have the mental versus physical planes. We have the abstract versus practical. We have intelligence versus hard work. We have clever versus dependable. These are basically Aquarian traits versus Taurus traits, but also air versus earth. Aloof versus grounded. Understand this thing versus the capability to do it. Observing things versus doing things. Harmony versus worth. We're going to see that later with the Mercury square Jupiter. We have freedom versus possessions. That's a very Aquarian versus Taurus thing. Inspiration versus pleasure. So that's the shearing of air versus earth. And it actually gets stronger, as you saw in this chart. This is the weakest day, according to this. All right, now on Friday the 9th, we have a new moon. So we put our cursors here, right? And it's at 20 degrees, 41 minutes of Aquarius. It's at around 5 p.m. So to be exact, 4:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And remember that square is already there. So this paints our picture for the full 29-day lunar cycle of the new moon in Aquarius. We obviously have some Aquarian goals to establish. We'll talk about those here in a second. But we have, with this strengthening, I want to talk about the backdrop, because in the backdrop, we've got this battle. And in the foreground, this new moon, we have a revolution coming out of it. So the conflict is actually shearing through to two different planes to create your personal revolution. But it's a double-edged sword. And the double-edged sword is because you're playing with fire here. Let me put this on top so it doesn't mess up. So here's our delineation, is that reflections in the garden. It's focusing insights through this magnifying lens, and the combination of that consolidated light and highlights practical matters while sparking inventive ideas. And that's sort of the fire. Now, the metaphor here is you're playing with fire even though there's no spark, there's no fire apparent. The energy that you're dealing with this week in your personal revolution, while the air versus ground theme is going on in the background, is that what you contemplate, what you spend your time on, is this magnifying glass that consolidates down and creates something. It is very creative. It will create basically fire, passion. Passion's in the chart. We'll look at it later. And what you spend your time on is that magnifying glass. So make sure what you create, the passion that you create, the revolution that you engender or create this week for yourself, is a double-edged sword. It will happen even if you don't pay attention to it. So you want to do this probably consciously. Make sure you're spending time thinking about and contemplating the life that you want. All right. Remember too that we have the Aquarian goals to remember. This is the time. So on Friday the 9th, anywhere during the day, script out some of your personal revolution goals, designing your revolution, champion maybe a social cause, cultivating innovation, maybe trying to bring about technological or an invention of sorts, build a diverse network, embrace or push forth personal freedoms. There's a lot of Aquarian options there. And then to continue, so we have the backdrop is even, earth and air equal, and it's heavily fixed. So fixed air versus fixed, and it's versus because of all this square energy. The other square goes exact tomorrow, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, but we have another thing to keep in mind with is a conjunction between Venus and Mars. This is very passionate, same as yesterday without any emotion. This is the same energy from yesterday, but remember the moon was here exaggerating this passion in Capricorn. And so it doesn't mean it's less passionate, it just means it's less emotional around it. So it takes a little bit of the energy away, but still passion there. It is weak. It's more like a 6-degree orb, but it's going through some change. And then we have Mars is making a transition to conjoin with Pluto, and that'll be interesting. It's the very power and control alignment, and it'll be in Aquarius when it goes exact, obviously. All right, what have I missed? Well, we have the feelings that one might feel through all this that I just mentioned. Thrifty habits versus intellectual indulgences. Committed relationships strain with rebellious phases. Constructive tasks compete with inspired deviations. There's a lot here. Physical stability resist mental restlessness. So it's that air versus earth that plays out throughout this entire week. And here's more. On Saturday, the 10th, Mercury square Jupiter. It goes exact at 7:25 a.m. Central Time. And here's the square. The two planets, Mercury here, Jupiter down in Taurus, and they're shearing. They're at 8 degrees, 23 minutes, respectively. It's the fixed Earth versus the fixed air battlefield, with a still a strong Sun and Uranus aspect square. So that together is a battlefield for mind versus Earth. It's change and revolution versus higher wise mind. Oh, remember these, Mercury is the lower mind, so rational argues for change and revolution, while higher mind seeks practical value. All right. And then Sunday, it's still conflicted, but now we have some opportunities very subtly proposing here as Mars and Venus sort of separate out with their growing orb. This might become more apparent where Venus makes a sextile to Neptune, and this is using passion with your relationships or passion with another person to manifest your dreams. This is a telepathic alignment, and the opportunity is in dreams and fantasy, maybe even escapism. And it can be in a healthy way. I don't like the word escapism in that case, but this is the alignment where two people can, maybe use, not street drugs, but, maybe a little dabbling of fun activities to accentuate this dreamland or this fantasy, but together. All right. Yeah, that can happen. Fun together. Sextile to Neptune suggests that you can tap into your intuition and use your imagination to find creative solutions to challenges. This is the alignment there. The archetype encourages you to infuse your actions and relationships with a sense of compassion and understanding. The aspect can support spiritual growth and the exploration of artistic and creative pursuits. It's like when a band doesn't have like a script per se, and they just come together and start warming up, and all of a sudden a wonderful tune or a brand new piece is being created with the melding of those people. That's this energy. The ability to combine practicality and ambition with empathy, inspiration, spirituality. It allows you to pursue your goals with determination while maintaining a compassionate and imaginative approach. Here's the image for this. I want you to take a snapshot of this picture because on Sunday the 11th, I mean, you're having that big conflict thing, the air versus earth, and you also have this opportunity. So the image is two fantasy Capricorn, not Capricorns. What do you call these? Whatever, corny looking fantasy horses, and they are running together in a fantasy environment. So dreams, escapism, etc. So enjoy that. And now you have the choice. So on Monday the 12th, tension or opportunity. You have tension between this archetypical battle, or you have the opportunity. And there's a good amount of sextile in there because of the moon and because Mars is also in the sextile. So lots of opportunity. So it depends on where you place your attention. Remember the magnifying glass? Be wary of what you pay attention to this week in your mind. Make sure that you have the right script, the right narrative going on in your mind, because it's a double-edged sword. If it's very negative, it's very catastrophic, you're going to be manifesting the fire of catastrophe. I wouldn't be surprised. Have you guys heard about this sort of shearing away, the Dolores Cannon idea of the new earth, and how it just sorts of shears away from the old physical reality of 3D. I don't know if that's any truth to that. I like the idea. If there was a time, man, I think this energy is kind of what we're talking about here. The air versus, it's just this shearing of the planes. It's possible. So maybe it is all what you're focusing on. So make sure your mind is accountable. All right. Here's where 12:04 on Tuesday the 13th, day before Valentine's Day, Venus enters Aquarius. And the revolutionaries are rising. So that's down here. We have Mars going into archetypical Aquarius to fight Aquarian battles. Passionate determination joins forces to dismantle oppressive structures through disruptive yet innovative tactics. However, managing splintering debris demands structuring a just framework, lest the destruction descend into chaos. And we have freedom fighters on the prowl. And so this is initiatives towards liberation for the disenfranchised. People who are going to feel this shift, they're going to probably say something possibly like radical reforms ignite both progress and backlash, innovative protests challenge oppressive authorities. I mean, have you seen what's going on in Europe? The farmers' innovative protests challenge oppressive authorities. I mean, the energy's already here. Just wait until Tuesday the 13th, and when it goes exact, you haven't seen nothing yet. Libertarian crusades strain against regulation. Underground organizations emerge from disenchantment. Revolutionary anger targets corrupt establishments. This sounds like a revolution to me. And then in exactly 24 hours, Mars will be conjunct with Pluto. at 0 degrees Aquarius, around 44 minutes, I think. But I thought it's just phenomenal how it's exactly 24 hours later. All right. And then on Wednesday the 14th, I've got the heart there, but, it's coloring on this thing is crap, but whatever. It's an orange heart. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Here's your image. And some of you I know don't really acknowledge Valentine's Day. It's probably another pagan thing and maybe satanic. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever. But happy Valentine's Day to those who care. And climax, this is the climax, is the fixed is up to 7 now. We have an equal amount of earth versus air. We have all this square, all these 90-degree energies. In fact, 8 of the 10 planets are all in square alignments. Moon, Jupiter, Uranus, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, Venus. The only ones not in the square are Saturn and Neptune, the Piscean. So crazy amount of conflict. The opportunity is going to be easily obscured here. So you're going to really have to pay attention. It's going to be hard not to see this conflict. And again, you still have that magnifying glass, right? And it'll create more of that conflict if you focus in on it. Not asking you to ignore reality, but this is a very creative environment while challenging shearing is going on in 2 different planes. So while that's happening, make sure you are paying attention to your Aquarian goals, and then we'll get into the solution later for the rest of it. Now that we go into the I-Ching, we have line 2 of hexagram 32 of endurance with change line 2. If you are attempting something that seems to be beyond your capabilities, time is your friend. It means kind of feel this slowdown. Focus on perseverance and seeing things through. Remember that Sun and Uranus are both in a square, but they're also in conjunct, which means that they're extra conflicted, but they're also in detriment and fall, respectively. So things are harder for both of them. Control your energy. Avoid serious risk-taking right now, and there will be no cause for remorse. Statements that might indicate what most of us will feel. I feel a sense of stability and groundedness, even amidst changing circumstances. There again, there's the earth. This is from the I-Ching, and it's a perfect match to the air versus earth. I feel a harmonious balance between staying rooted in my values and being open to new possibilities. Again, air versus earth. I am reliable and trustworthy, both in my ability to adapt and in maintaining my core principles. Adapt is Mercury coming out. I forgot to mention this. Mercury is coming out of its transformation with Pluto, conjunction with Pluto. So it's in a exalted state in Aquarius, and so makes everything able to adapt. I find contentment and fulfillment in embracing change and allowing it to propel me forward. All right, that's the background. Let's go look at the solution. Let's go look at the summary first. Let's summarize it all of the influence. This is the air versus earth image. You can see the counter air coming up, tracers coming up. This week hosts the battle of the fixed. We start off with a new moon in Aquarius, which kickstarts a 29-day cycle of unconventional, libertarian, unapologetic rebelliousness. However, the earth energy isn't surrendering to air without a week-long archetypical conflict. War drums in the stellar alignments leaves us all feeling easily defensive, energetically frustrated, and possibly craving sudden and powerful revolutions. Strangely, there's a sense of opportunity in the midst of this tension. All right. Can you feel the hope now? As we get into the solution, yeah, there's a battlefield going on, but Here's what to do about it. So we're looking at behaviors now. Hexagram 62. Ambitious undertakings are not in order, but attention to small matters brings decent progress. This is a perfect match, not only to the energy afforded, but to the moon phase after the new moon. Once you have the new moon, we're going to be wanting to do all week long, but just because of the tension and conflict, it's going to be motivating for most of us. And a lot of that energy is Capricorn anyway. So it's really ambitious, but it's just go to the small matters, do small little goals here. It is very important to understand the demands of your situation and to not expect success in big things right now. The wise person recognizes and accepts the nature of the time, know your role, attend to details, and act with humility. You can achieve success even with few resources. Embrace humility and recognize the significance of small steps in achieving success. This is correlated with our waxing crescent moon. Pay meticulous attention to details and strive for precision in your actions. Celebrate and appreciate the value of small victories along your journey, acknowledging the intricacies of your achievements. Balance ambition with moderation. All right. Basically, attention to detail is parallels and supports the idea of the magnifying glass, that the Aquarian energy is coming down through the magnifying glass, and it will shine a light on something and create something in the physical reality. So that's the light from Aquarius, create something in the Taurian 3D reality. All right, so pay attention to what you're focusing on. There's the new moon. It happens in Rave Hexagram 49 and Sidereal Capricorn. And look at that. Hexagram 49 of the Rave is revolution. Wow. Ideally, the transformation of forms based on the highest principles and not simply for power. Now we have line 2 to get more specific. This new moon happens in the last resort. The determination to exhaust every possible peaceful avenue for change, and then when satisfied that no other course is possible, to plan in detail before revolution is attempted, the potential to explore every possibility before rejecting. Now there's a downside to the last resort, and that means you get impatient with an accommodation, and it's the tendency here is the coup d'etat that has little general support. So if you go too fast in your personal revolution this week, you're going to get very little support in the environment. They'll look at you and go, I don't trust this, or I don't agree with it, or I don't recognize you. All right, we're already in this screen, so let's summarize the solution for you and read how best to surf this energy. First, we have a little bit of like a knitting picture, but that's representative of the preponderance of the small. It means take it small steps this week. It is a waxing crescent moon right after the new moon, so it's not like we need big old steps forward. And we have, according to the Rave, a revolution here with the last resort line. We have Sidereal Capricorn and a new moon. The overlap of the four modalities is very apparent. It involves motivated, mindful, planned, practical, and forward effort. But the practical is now because we're in Sidereal Capricorn. But because it's a new moon period, the focus is more on planning than doing. Organize your tropical Aquarian goals and begin taking, and the reason why we have tropical Aquarian is because that's the influence. You want to make your goals correlated with the influence. And then we want to go out to those goals. And when we start acting in order to fulfill those goals, we're going to act more Capricorn, okay, in Capricorn style. So organize your tropical Aquarian goals and begin taking early, small, practical steps towards them in Sidereal Capricorn style. Does that make sense? If there are any questions there, while we use two different zodiac systems, which a lot of people say you can't do, I've made it to where you can, and it works. I know it works in my own life to behave in accordance with the sidereal, where the stars actually are, but be aware that the influence is still coming from tropical. And if you need more information on that, go to the intro, go to the main page of National Dream Center on YouTube and look at the intro video. I probably need to redo that video. It's pretty old right now, but at least it provides you some background to why we use two zodiac signs or systems. Push towards the goals consistently and patiently, a perfect overlap with I-Ching 62. The rave also asks for your planning and patience, but directed towards your version of revolution. Last resort stipulates that you must exhaust all peaceful routes to revolution and pay attention to all details before moving out. In other words, getting your revolution started and whatever. Getting too quick in your personal revolution will make you feel alienated from your family, community, and without their support. So I know this is a lot. Now let's go to the runes. And for the first time, I'm using the Ingwas because this is about new beginnings. It's also about growth, potential, success, completion, channeled energy. I think is a big thing with the Ingwas. The fertility god, Ing, apparently was this symbol, Ingwas. So this is for the personal revolution. It's about building and releasing magical energy. Protection is in there. Passion is in there. Bringing a situation to an end. And even though this is the new moon, I'm speaking more to the Ingwas is more for the personal revolution thing and not necessarily the new moon, if that makes sense. The Gebu is more for the eclipse cycle that we're in, for the Libra. And my personal revolution starts now. All right. So, did I confuse you yet? What questions did I generate? What mistakes or misspeaks did I have? Put your comments below. How can I do better? And if you haven't started watching the Energy Shifts series, it's a brand new kind of series. Those go out on Sunday or Monday every week. These CIRF reports are weekly on Wednesdays for the preparation for the next week. And so the energy shift videos are for, I want to provide something you can put on your calendar that you don't have anywhere else, that a shift is coming. That's the goal. And I've got archetypes that are designed for this. And I envision sort of a storyline that's developing, which might be another series of videos. So here's your playbook. Enjoy. Have a great week. Don't get caught up in the conflict, but use it for your good, for your personal revolution. Take care, everybody. Love to all. See you next week.